If you've been with the Florida Maquis for any amount of time, you know that I have highly recommended the Patriot Nurse channel. I've been watching her since probably just about the beginning of YouTube or whenever she started her channel well over 10 to 12 years ago. Earlier today, she put up a video that I think might be one of her best videos ever because she talks about something that a lot of Americans shy away from these days, and I haven't seen it addressed in this context before. Now, I'd like for all of you, if you have the opportunity to sometime today, to stop what you're doing and go watch this video from the Patriot Nurse. She's talking about the measles and the measles vaccine and the new direction that the U.S. government is taking. But she talks about something that I think gets overlooked in a lot of people's lives. It's called the cost-benefit analysis. That no matter really what you do, basically to sum up, there's always going to be a cost to it. Nothing is perfect. There's going to be outcomes that can't really be foreseen sometimes, and you can't predict those things, and you have to kind of add that in to any decision you make. Here's the benefit I'm going to get from it, but what could possibly be the downside? So I don't want to take anything more away from her video. Absolutely fantastic content. Go over there, check that out. It actually just very coincidentally dovetails with something that I was going to talk about today, and we're going to try to put those two things together. Now, real quick, as promised, brand spanking new video over the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. As I've said over there, we have 4 different levels. We have the very base level at $2 a month. We have the $5 level, the Need to Know Roundtable. That's what this most recent video that we put up is for. But of course, if you're at the higher levels, the unit commanders and brigade commanders, you are welcome to sit in, of course, at the lower level here. It's a topic that I don't think a lot of people are seeing, and it has to do with what's really going on in America right now. So, love to have you over there. As always, fully refundable. First 90 days at any level, no questions asked. All of you who have stepped up over there, thank you so much. I very, very much appreciate it. It is definitely needed these days just to keep things together. Now, let's start off with something that I don't think a lot of people would predict, but we have to start here to get to where we're going to go. This is a Greek philosopher named Epicurus. And he asked the question, is God willing to prevent evil but not able? If so, then he's not omnipotent. But is he able but not willing? Then he is malevolent. Is he both able and willing? If that's the case, then whence cometh evil? But if he's neither able nor willing, then why call him God? Now, that's an interesting question that a lot of logical atheists bring up, is why is there evil in the world? Well, it has to do with a false presumption that Epicurus came from. He came from the idea that philosophy's purpose was to give everyone a happy, eudaimonic, tranquil life characterized by ataraxia, which is peace and freedom from fear, and aponia, the absence of pain. Now, some might say those are admirable goals. We all want to live tranquil lives, don't we, and have peace and freedom, and we don't want to be afraid, and we don't want to experience, pain in our lives. If that's the case, then why do we have elections? If there is a God that wishes all these things for us, then why do we have to bow? Why would one leader be any different than any other? Since all men fall under the control of Almighty God, and it is the desire of Almighty God that we all be happy and we all be in harmony. And if that's his desire, well, why would this or this even matter? I mean, if half the country thinks this is evil and half the country thinks this is evil right now. There's people right now that think, boy, their life would be a lot more peaceful and harmonious and pain-free if Kamala Harris would have won. There's a group of people, huge group of people out there right now that believe this. And they're in a state of suffering and fear and anxiety and panic. And there are people who think that this is the new golden age of America and they're happy as a clam. And how can this possibly be if there's only one God? And if there's good and evil in the world, like people say, then what would be the purpose of it? See, when you go to personal well-being, and this kind of dovetails with what the Patriot nurse was talking about, the best 6 doctors, in the world are fresh air, exercise, water, rest, good diet, and sunshine. I think she even references in her video today, vitamin D, the idea of just taking care of yourself. But then why do we have any doctors? Why do we have a surgeon general? Why do we have a Kennedy, director of Health and Human Services? Why do we have government in charge of that? Let me take it one step further. Guys, those of you who've been in the military for sure, to get to a state of happiness, to get to a state of really good health and being in shape and young and strong, I know a lot of guys in my era, in our 50s, 60s, 70s, getting older, man, we would love to have those bodies back. We would love to have those 20-something bodies back where you're just indestructible. But wait a minute. Didn't it take a lot of pain? Didn't it take a lot of... and there was a level of fear always in the military. All of those things that Epicurus said are to be shunned and to be feared and to be gotten rid of are the very things that create the happiness. You see, we can create a hell for ourselves doing things that make us happy. I don't know anybody that doesn't think pizza's delicious. Some flavor of it anyway. So if eating pizza then makes you happy, then it should then follow that you should continue in happiness if you eat pizza every single day. But I don't know anybody who would want to be 600 pounds and bedridden because they ate pizza every day. You didn't eat pizza any days when you were in the military. And most of the time you were hungry and most of the time you were tired. But objectively speaking, you were about as healthy as you were ever going to be at that point in life. And here's even a better question. What if you could magically snap your fingers and go back to when you were young, and this is for men and women, both, and go back to that point in time when you felt like you were in the best shape of your life, or you looked the best or felt the best? I think a lot of people have probably forgotten the effort that it took at the time. And even though you looked and, when you looked at the pictures, the image, you think, boy, that must be great. That must be fantastic, whether you're a guy or girl, to look like that. But that takes a lot of planning and a lot of work and a lot of effort, and it's an interesting thing. Why did we have to do this? Why did we have to do that? Why is the road to success covered in sweat? If this is really and truly the case, then how could Epicurus' philosophy have made any sense at all to anyone in logic? Because even for them, the idea of just sitting up on a mountain on rocks and just contemplating your navel and creating philosophy that says that, all pain is to be shunned, you should never be afraid of anything. Everything should always just be happy, fun time and never be any challenge, I think is a great juxtaposition to where we are in this country. We have this incredible duality going on right now. You show a picture like this to half the country and they have one feeling and they're all just giddy and, man, America is back and things are so awesome. And you show it to the other half of the country and they are in a state of fear and terror. Same thing here. So which is it? Would be my question. Would you rather live the life where you knew that you could just dial up happy and have happy come in a little box and then somehow try to figure out, how the rest of your life is so miserable? Or would you be willing to make the sacrifice and do the hard thing is the right thing, that's good for you, and endure the pain that you put on yourself? Would you rather do that? I mean, the point I guess I'm making is, what's your point, Monkey? Is that I don't think sometimes the things that we think are good for us are. Sometimes there are things that we do and choices we make that in the moment seem like it's a good idea. It seems like it's a good idea. Feels good. Looks good on paper. Maybe. Maybe not. Same thing here. And we talk about the group that's going to take advantage of this. There's a group that's going to take advantage of this in the next election cycle over at the Patreon channel. That's what the brand new video is for. So once again, you have to weigh things. Patriot Nurse brings up an excellent point about a reason that she would forego an MMR that has a completely different set of, I don't want to ruin her video, a set of parameters around which she would say, okay, this is not for me. Other people might have an entirely different set of parameters as to what is good and bad for them. So really, I guess it would depend on when you lean on government this way to be the arbiters of your happiness, the arbiters of your joy. It takes us back to what Epicurus said. He said he advocated that people were best able to pursue philosophy by living a self-sufficient life surrounded by friends. He taught the root of all human neurosis is denial of death and the tendency for human beings to assume that death will be horrific and painful. Sometimes it is. Nobody would, I guess, really know. Everybody who's ever gone through death is, well, dead and can't really tell us about it. Which he claimed causes unnecessary anxiety, selfish, self-protective behaviors, and, strangely enough, hypocrisy. When the world looks at the land of the free and the home of the brave, I think right now they see hypocrisy. Because it's whiplash. To go from this to this, to this, to this, to this, to this. And nobody changes their mind. Just because she lost doesn't mean those 77 million people that voted for her changed their mind and go, oh, well, we were wrong. We're on board now. When America can't even figure this out for themselves, I think this is what bothers Trump the most right now sometimes, is that there was a time, Ronald Reagan, speaking of, when all but one state voted for the president back in the 80s. When all but one state voted for Ronald Reagan. Yeah, that's a mandate for sure. So once again, Patriot Nurse, excellent content. She's got a lot of great stuff for sale. One of the things that she talks about is not being a slave to the medical complex, the racket that is modern medicine, and I couldn't agree more, honestly. If there was one thing that you could do for yourself, that would keep you out of the clutches of the government sway, so to speak, this would be it. Follow her. So, also, once again, join us, Florida Monkey Patreon channel. Love to have you over there. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Pray for her. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. See you guys next time.